It's Wednesday, January 26. This is the news on PBCJ. I'm Carol Francis. Omicron is now the dominant strain of the fourth wave of COVID-19 sweeping the island. Speaking from the floor of Parliament on Tuesday, Prime Minister Andrew Holness signaled that his administration is not exploring any new COVID-19 measures. The existing safety measures will remain in place until February 10, 2022.
All the measures, the curfew, the restrictions on gatherings, the requirements to wear masks, particularly indoors, to maintain physical distance, all remain in place. We have not, however, further tightened measures, as we know that would have had significant adverse impact on our economy and the livelihoods of Jamaicans who are already struggling with high prices, struggling with cuts in income, struggling with crime and violence in their community.
Jamaica's current positivity rate stands at 46%, but with signs of a downward trend.
Madam Speaker, while our daily case count remains very high, there are indications that it may be starting to come down. The average number of confirmed cases for the last 7 days was 921 per day. For the immediate preceding 7 days, it was 1,402 per day. So, Madam Speaker, we have seen a decline of 34%. And you're beginning to see from the graph displayed the downturn in new cases.
The government has taken measures to shield consumers from the recently announced increase in chicken prices. Last week, the Jamaica Broilers Group announced that chicken prices are going up by 10% come the end of January. Addressing Parliament on Tuesday, Agriculture and Fisheries Minister Pernell Charles Jr. outlined initiatives to mitigate the increase. The government is considering a temporary suspension of the common external tariff and additional stamp duties on imported leg quarters. Marlon Samuels reports on the minister's statements.
The Agriculture Minister outlined short to medium alternatives to give consumers some reprieve.
In order to provide Jamaican consumers with an affordable alternative source of protein, one of the options being considered is the temporary suspension of the import and additional stamp duties levied on leg quarters. Currently, the price of leg quarters within the local market is at $360 per pound, Minister Tufton, while we would be able to import leg quarters at $100 per pound and have consumers paying roughly $160 per pound. This would allow Jamaican consumers to purchase at least 3 times the quantity of poultry meat that they are currently able to afford.
Mr. Charles was quick to point out that this would be a temporary measure.
Well, let me emphasize, Minister Clark, that this would be a temporary measure until local market recalibrates to normal levels where supply matches demand, as was successfully done before when the country faced a similar crisis.
In justifying the coming increase, the Jamaica Broilers Group cited increased production inputs among the factors. Currently, broiler companies produce approximately 60% of total poultry, with the remaining being supplied by backyard farmers. The ministry is pushing alternatives to poultry.
The ministry is executing a robust program to promote the consumption of alternatives to poultry, ensuring that Jamaicans have a range of options and adequate supplies of affordable protein. We are pursuing increased and efficient production of small ruminants, fish, and pigs, which we believe will serve to reduce the current demand for poultry.
A call was thrown out to potential investors to remedy the shortage of baby chicks in the market.
This is a vexing issue, particularly for the small chicken farmers and the householders who during this pandemic have seen this production opportunity as a means to supplement their families' income and diet. The ministry then will do all it can to create the environment where competition drives the market to redound positively, to the benefit then of our farmers and by extension to the benefit of the sector. Madam Speaker, every challenge creates an opportunity, and today I'm sending a message to all interested parties that we will be facilitating the entry of investors willing to take up the business opportunity to supply the local market with baby chicks.
In an effort to bolster the production of the local poultry sector, the ministry has set aside $50 million to be made immediately available to assist with the purchase of feed, chicks, and medication for our farmers through the Rural Agricultural Development Authority, RADA. For the news on PBCJ, I am Marlon Samuels.
Local government elections have been postponed again. On Tuesday, the government tabled a bill entitled The Representation of the People's Postponement of Election to Municipal Corporations and City Municipalities Act 2022. The local elections were set to be announced no later than February 27 this year. However, Portfolio Minister Desmond McKenzie, who piloted the bill on Tuesday, explained that move to postponement is geared to protecting the populace. Simone Absalom Gale has that story.
Parliamentarians gave the nod to a further year-long extension of the local government elections after discussions about the matter. Minister of Local Government and Community Development, Desmond McKenzie, who led the debate for a 12-month extension, explained the reasoning behind the delay.
The government believes that to hold an election within this period, that it would put the country at a greater risk with the fourth wave of COVID-19. It is at the forefront of the government's thinking, Madam Speaker, that we must do everything to protect the population.
Opposition leader Mark Golding said while he understands the reasoning behind the postponement, a year is too long, noting that some divisions remain unrepresented.
There are several divisions, electoral divisions, local government, which are where persons are unrepresented currently. Councillors may have passed away, other issues may have happened. So those people are being denied representation the longer we leave it. We feel that a one-year postponement is excessive, and we would be proposing a 6-month postponement, at which time, if things are not as sanguine as the Prime Minister was rosily projecting earlier today, then we can look at it again as a Parliament. But
Minister McKenzie recognized that the election of political representatives at the local level cannot be postponed indefinitely.
As the Minister with responsibility for local government, I wish to assure the House and the country that we are still committed to having the next local government elections in the shortest practical time.
In the end, the legislation was passed with a vote 37 for and 7 against. For the news on PBCJ, I'm Simone Absalom Gale.
India celebrated its 73rd Republic Day today, January 26, with a flag-raising ceremony. On the 26th of January 1950, India adopted the constitution and became a republic.
I am confident that India is better placed today to meet the challenges of the future. The 21st century is turning out to be the age of climate change, and India has taken a leadership position on the world stage in showing the way, especially with its bold and ambitious push for renewable energy. At the individual level, each one of us can remember Gandhiji's advice and help improve the world around us. India has always considered the whole world as one family. I am sure that inspired by this spirit of universal brotherhood, our country and the entire global community will move forward a more equitable and prosperous future.
Other activities to mark the day include brief cultural performances and a formal reception. For the latest market shifts and movements, we join Gabriel Thompson at the business desk for this quick report.
In foreign exchange trading for Tuesday, January 25, the US dollar sold for an average $156.91. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $123.24. The pound sterling traded for $212.02, and the euro sold for an average $179.81. In Tuesday's trading session, the following reflected the movement of the JSE indices. The JSE index advanced by 1,224 points to close at under 400,000 units. The junior market index advanced by 35 points to close at over 3,000 units. The combined market index advanced by 785 points to close at over 400,000 units, and the All Jamaican Composite Index advanced by 401 points to close at over 400,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 103 stocks, of which 40 advanced, 48 declined, and 15 traded firm. Stocks advanced for 1834 Investments Limited, Berger Paints Jamaica Limited, and Caribbean Cream Limited. Stocks declined for Access Financial Services Limited, AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited, and Barita Investments Limited. Trading firm were 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, Dermont Trading Company Limited, and Epley Limited 7.75% preference shares. Stanley Motor Limited ordinary shares was the volume leader with over 10 million units, followed by Wigton Wind Farm Limited ordinary shares with over 6.3 million units, and Community and Workers of Jamaica CCU deferred share with over 3.2 million units. In market data for oil, prices rose to a 7-year high close to $90 a barrel on Wednesday, supported by tight supply and geopolitical tensions in Europe and the Middle East that raised concerns about further disruption. U.S. President Joe Biden said on Tuesday he would consider personal sanctions on President Vladimir Putin if Russia invades Ukraine. On Monday, Yemen's Houthi movement launched a missile attack on a United Arab Emirates base. Brent crude futures rose $1.37 or 1.6% to $89.57 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate crude was up $1.13 or 1.3% to $86.73 a barrel. And with that, we close this Wednesday edition of the Business Report inside the news on PBCJ. I'm Gabrielle Thompson. Pleasant viewing.
Typically, gym memberships spike in January as persons follow through with New Year's resolutions to get in shape or lose weight. By March, those numbers taper off as motivation wanes. Whatever your fitness goals for 2022, you can achieve them with some tenacity and consistency. In today's Living Healthy report, Dr. Heather Lawson-Myers talks with master trainer Omar West. In part 1 of a 2-part feature, he shares practical tips for exercise, health, and weight loss.
Hi, I have with me today certified master trainer Courtney Omar West. Welcome, Courtney.
Thank you. Nice being here.
You know, we are very close to the National Stadium, home or the beginning place for world-renowned Usain Bolt and Shelley Ann Fraser. Well, we're not all as fit as they are, but I've invited Omar to share with us a little bit today as to what are the standards? What should we be doing regularly to keep healthy?
To be in good health, we need just regular physical activity. It's not necessary to be in a gym. A lot of people think that to attain good health, you need to be in an expensive gym, when it's really not. What we really need is regular physical activity.
And so what would that mean? So I like to walk in the mornings. How long should I walk for? What is enough? What is the pace? Give us some idea.
Well, you want to do whatever you enjoy. You're more likely to stick with it if you're doing something that you enjoy. Most international organizations agree that for good health, you want about 150 minutes per week of physical activity. Mm-hmm. That's 2.5 hours of physical activity. Now there's a dose response relationship in physical activity and good health. The more you get past that 150 minutes for the week is the more health you can expect, or the better response you can expect. If it's weight loss that you're looking for, then you want to look more at 300 minutes per week of good regular physical activity.
So Omar, I was walking up the hill one day and my friend passed me and she says, picking daisies? She was implying that my pace was not fast enough.
Right.
How fast should we be going?
Well, I mentioned the 150 and the 300 minutes. At 150, we're talking about moderate activity. If you're going to do higher intensity activity, then we're looking more at 75 minutes per week, and that would be more like an interval training, or 150 minutes per minute of interval training or high intensity for weight loss. Now, as far as what's considered moderate or low or high, if you can sing while you're doing it, it's considered low.
Okay.
If you can talk while you're doing it, and this is just a rough little estimate, if you can talk while you're doing it, but you can't sing, that's moderate. If you're doing it and you can't really talk, then that's high intensity. And that's usually when you're getting into the high intensity interval training. You generally can't talk very, very well when you're doing it. So you're probably, if you're picking daisies, you're probably on the low intensity side.
I think she was being fresh, but okay, I understand. So Omar, I need to ask you a question.
Sure.
There is this feeling that after you get over age 50, even if you're doing the same thing, you tend to gain weight. Is that so?
Now, as we age, the truth is the metabolism slows down. We start losing muscle. And again, the truth is the more we age, the more we need that physical activity, because we need to maintain as much muscle as we can. And especially for women, when we get around the menopausal age, the physical activity, especially weight-bearing physical activity, is very important to help with the bone mineral density. So as we age 50 and more, the physical activity is even more important. I always recommend sticking with at least the guidelines of 150 of moderate exercise to 300 minutes per week. I always recommend our seniors try to get that in.
We turn our focus to other news from across the region. In the Bahamas, the timeline for a young professionals housing community in Prospect Ridge has been pushed back. Details in this report from Jasmine Brown.
The administration has not been shy about its criticism of the Prospect Ridge development for young professionals, and those critiques are continuing to mount. The minister, who spoke on the sidelines of the launch of a new housing initiative, is now revealing that a technical team has pretty much told the government to abandon the project.
We gave a briefing to cabinet and we're just waiting for them to give a final response, but I would say that from my tech team, they have recommended that we leave it alone and move move elsewhere.
When asked if the Davis administration intends to take that advice, she said this.
Possibly, but waiting to hear final from Cabinet.
The once highly anticipated housing project for young professionals announced under the previous administration was put on the back burner late last year and branded nothing more than a political ploy by the Davis administration, with revelations that its environmental impact assessment was rejected after major questions arose. Colby Davis says no master plan had been created for the project, nor had a topography study been completed, despite the administration accepting applications from approximately 1,500 eager Bahamians. She says applicants for the development should not lose hope.
Their applications are still on file, and obviously they have been approved for various amounts, and like I said, we're offering an expansive amount of homes across New Providence, and the options are beautiful, the models are beautiful, and I am quite certain they'll be very happy to start their families or grow their lives or make their first single largest investment in any of the homes that I offer. And so I don't want anyone to get discouraged, but what I do want to do is make sure that I properly place you in a home that you'll be proud of.
Now, while the minister says the Prospect Ridge project will likely no longer be an option for homeowners, she says there are a lot more projects in the works. Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Over in St. Kitts and Nevis, primary and secondary schools on the Twin Island Federation opened their gates fully for a return to face-to-face instruction on Monday, 2 weeks after the original return date had been scheduled. The delay was a result of an upsurge in the spread of COVID-19 in the Federation. More details in this SKN Newsline report.
Ministry officials promised then that in spite of the delay, students would return to school by Monday, January 24th. Over the 2-week period, while many students were engaged in revisions through online learning, the ministry beefed up its efforts to ensure that schools were prepared to adhere to the protocol requirements. At the same time, the ministry called on parents to seek to get students in the age group 12 through 17 vaccinated in order to help increase their level of safety. A press release from the Education Media Unit, EMU, said ministry officials were present at schools to deliver moral support to students and educators.
And I'm happy that you are back in school. Are you happy to be back in school today? Yes. We are all excited that you are able to return back to your classes after we have been out for the last 2 weeks. However, I want to remind all of you that we have to adhere to our guidelines, which is our non-pharmaceutical measures. And they are: wear your mask, wash your hands, and watch your distance. We want all of you to be safe as we continue face-to-face instruction. And I'm sure that at the end of the day, we will see the excellent results from all of you by being in school. And so continue to do what you must to be safe so that we continue our education face-to-face. I want to wish you all the best for this second term and for 2022. And to your teachers as well, I want to say thank you for all that you continue to do for our students. And I pray that as you go through this term, that you have an awesome time with your students.
It turns out that the new start date coincides with the observation of International Education Day, a fact which the ministry says is symbolic of its commitment to the education of the students of St. Kitts and Nevis in spite of unprecedented challenges. I am Jacinthia Teixeira reporting for SKN Newsline.
And in Grenada, the Loan Fund Facility for Contract Workers, first highlighted by Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell during the budget debate, was the focus of the weekly post-cabinet press briefing on Tuesday. The proposed loan facility is first being piloted via the Grenada Development Bank as government commits to injecting $10 million in tranches. More details from GBNS News.
Accessing 100% credit for individuals on contract within the public sector will no longer be a challenge as government, together with the Grenada Development Bank, rolls out a loan fund facility within the next 2 weeks. A major feature of the loan facility is provisions for the suspension of the accrual of interest if the borrower becomes unemployed due to the redundancy of the contracted position.
Now, this is a first in the industry. There is no other institution, financial institution, that has such a caveat within their loan program. So what does that mean? If, for some reason, based on redundancy or otherwise, you are no longer employed, while you try to gain employment, your loan will not be growing. Your loan will remain the same. There will be zero interest for a period of up to 1 year or when you get employment.
Marvin Lord, General Manager of the Grenada Development Bank, says the loans can be used for the purchase or construction of dwelling houses, renovations, and the purchase of land, as well as legal fees, among others. Finance Minister Gregory Bowen says the facility will allow contract workers to acquire assets to improve their standard of living.
The facility allows for up to 30 years repayment period or up to retirement age, whichever is less. It's an interest rate of 3% and an option for moratorium on interest and principal payment for up to 1 year. You'd have up to 100% financing.
The loan facility is open to Imanis, traffic wardens, and any contract workers being paid directly by government. Bowen notes that the Department of Public Administration is also reviewing the salary structure and benefits of this category of workers. The Finance Minister says the review will be guided by the Fiscal Responsibility Law as the suspended conditions return at the end of 2022.
So we have suspended 2 conditions in that law. There are many conditions because of the COVID-19. And that with the general acceptance of the international community. One of it is that you cannot increase your spending from this year to next year under certain categories by more than 2%. That is to keep you on target, to keep all of us on target.
Workers have to be employed with government for a minimum of 3 years, and loans up to $375,000 at 3% interest are available, with 10-day approvals for loans less than $300,000. I am Gerard Joseph for GBN News.
And in sports, we open the innings with cricket. West Indies vice captain Nicholas Pooran has hailed the performance of young duo Romario Shepherd and Akeal Hosein after their big-hitting heroics took the Caribbean side to the brink of victory against England in the second T20 on Sunday. Speaking to Cricket West Indies media after the game, Pooran said both players have been working hard on their batting behind the scene.
Akeal and Shepherd have been working really hard on their batting as well. We know in our team we have a long list of hitters in our team. Tonight we saw something special from Akeal and Shepherd tonight. Kudos go to them. They didn't give up at all. But that goes to show the strength in our team. Tonight was their night. We lost the game by 2 runs, but next night someone else could turn up to the party.
What do you think could have been done by the batsmen higher up to avoid that situation?
Starting with Kingy, I felt like Kingy had a tough decision there, but we have to accept those things. The run out with Hopi there, a bit unfortunate, a bit of a wrong decision maybe at that time. I think that set us back in the power play as well. By in saying that, Toppy bowled really well in the power play. The partnership with Darren and I, bringing us back into the game there. I fallen in the 8 over. I think I can probably go a bit deeper there and try to build that foundation for the back end.
After that performance, will you be encouraging Akeal to take more responsibility with the bat?
I know tonight he proved that not only tonight but in the Ireland series he proved that he's a capable batsman, and tonight he struck the ball as good as anyone. So we always give him some thunder that he's batting number 11 for us, and he keeps proving us that he's a batsman. I'm happy for him. He's working really hard, not only as a bowler but as a batsman as well.
And that's our package. Join us again tomorrow, same time, same place, for more news and sports right here on PBCJ, the People's Station.